welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford.
I'm Joe Organa.
I'm Zach Wilcha.
And I'm Ashley Hullett, and we are here to talk about Heated Rivalry Season 1.
Okay, we all four of us have been very obsessed. I picked the three of you on purpose. Zach, you read the books before the show came out, so I'm gonna hit you up first of overall reaction to the season.
Sure. So, I am part of the collective psychosis that people are talking about online with this show. It has taken over my life. I saw a post that somebody did this morning that was like, if you are in the collective psychosis, lean into it. We are never going to have a holiday season like this again with something that caught us so off guard. So, I have been obsessed. I've been watching the edits. My entire like algorithmic life has been taken over by it. And I was, and we'll talk about this more today, just like pleasantly surprised by the thoughtfulness and care that was put into this adaptation, and can't wait to like break it down into the details with you all.
And I gotta say, I mean, I said this before recording, but like, Zach, you've never been on before, but it's very out of character for you to be acting like this. Like, normally this is shit you would make fun of me for in our group chat, I feel like.
I am definitely like critical or at least suspicious of fandoms generally. So to have been like brought into the Borg like this feels strange for me, but I'm leaning into it and I'm really enjoying the ride so far.
Welcome. We're happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. That's the thing. This fandom has been very welcoming. And another thing maybe we'll talk about later is I hope that it continues this way because I feel like we're maybe on the precipice of psychosis. And I don't know where this energy is going to go when we're waiting for season two. But for right now, I'm living in the positivity and glad to be with you all to talk about it.
Yeah, Ashley, I'm gonna have you go last on purpose because I want you to talk about this versus Heartstopper fandom a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
Joe, how about you?
Yeah, no, I'm also deeply mentally ill. The past month has been
The
fully
common
dictated.
theme.
Yeah, this past month has been fully dictated by the show. How I feel every week depends on what happened in the episode. My motivations in life depend on everything that happened in this episode. I I've changed my entire lifestyle due to this show. Yeah, no, I loved it. It's incredible. I knew it was being adapted for a little while just because I'm very on top of like queer media. Like just one of those people that really absorbs every sort of like queer show and movie like whenever I see it, as long as it's something that interests me. Like obviously not everything interests me, but I'm always very on top of it, trying to keep and I knew that this was going to be right on my alley because I consume a lot of like queer romance novels because I travel a lot for work, and I like listening to that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure I absorbed all these books maybe a couple years ago because, like I said, I don't think there's any books about two hot athletes falling in love in the locker room that I haven't listened to. Um, but yeah, no, it's incredible. It's been the only thing that's captured me, any piece of media that's captured me like this in a very, very, very long time. And now that it's over, because I just finished at the cottage this morning, I have no motivation to continue living.
Joe, I wouldn't have thought you were a romance girly. Like, I would have never thought that about you.
No, I am. I am. Like even when I was in high school, I think everyone was trying to hook up, and I just wanted to be in love. And I was hooking up too, but it was really just to find love.
All right,
Yeah, I
that's
love a
fair.
romance. I do.
My best friend Cam always says like, you say you hate romance, but like really you like it. You just are very specific about it, Ian, which
Yes.
is fair. Um, Ashley, as our resident Heartstopper girly, you are normally into this kind of stuff. Um, I'm curious what you thought of the series overall, but I'm also curious like the differences in the fandoms with this and Heartstopper, because I remember you saying that some folks in the Heartstopper fandom
Oh, yeah.
recommended this to
There's
you.
big overlap. Yeah. I would want to start out by saying that I'm not usually into stuff like this. I'm very much not a rom-com girly. I've never been a rom-com girly. And I think it's mainly because, like, I don't like to feel feelings. I don't. I just want to cruise through life at a solid neutral.
And you and I are we are very sensitive people.
Yes. It's easy to make me cry. And so I've always avoided anything that I think is going to make me cry. But then Heartstopper came, and it just like came to me at just the right time when I needed to feel feelings, and I just like got fully obsessed. And I can't love anything a normal amount, so it's like it's always going to be a thing if I like it a lot. And so this came along, and obviously, like kind of like Joe said, because I am kind of just like in the queer media space all the time, I knew it was coming. I had heard about it. I had heard about like, oh, it's going to be so smutty and sexy. And I was like, okay, great. This will be a lovely little like break from being fully all consumed by things. And it'll just be like a cute little hot show that I'll watch. And I clearly that did not happen. It was pretty much immediate. I was fighting it a little bit with the first 2 episodes. I was like, oh no, no. And then episode 3 happened, and I was like, well, there goes my life. So that's when I picked up the books and started diving into that world. And yeah, I just think, I don't know. When something grabs me like this and makes me feel and I like it, it's like, oh, no, it's just like everything. And I think that the fandom so far, in my experience, has been very similar to the Heartstopper phenomenon when it first came out. It's just been so overwhelmingly positive. Like, I keep waiting for the assholes to show up in the comments, but I haven't experienced that yet. And they did eventually come with Heartstopper, but you know, it's after the initial rush of like all the true fans.
I do feel like fandom hits like a breaking point at some point where it's like, even if it's the sweetest, nicest, like, because just so many people start liking it, that then, because like the Buffy fandom used to be super chill, Ashley. Like, I feel like it was never, I used to always like pride myself in being like, oh, like Buffy fandom is like the chillest, nicest fandom. It still is in the realm of fandoms on the more chill side, but there are people that will get insane and nasty.
Yeah. And there's certain spaces where it's worse too,
yes,
right? Like I'm never going into a Buffy Facebook group. Never.
I used to post our new episodes in the Facebook groups, and I had to stop. I was like, I can't. Everyone is always mad about them and has something mean to say. I just
Which is like the opposite with Heartstopper. The Heartstopper Facebook groups are like the sweetest, purest little spaces. And like I didn't know that until I did the book launch panel in London recently for a Heartstopper book, and everyone was like, "Oh, we all met in the Facebook groups," and I was like, "Really? Facebook groups?" And then I started looking at them, and I was like, "These are just like the most little wholesome little pockets of Facebook I've ever seen."
Hilariously, the one Buffy Facebook group I was in that was like actually pretty chill. The woman who ran it was did a good job of like moderating it. Then randomly started posting like very, very heavy pro Johnny Depp posts in the Buffy Facebook. And I was like, all right, well, now I have to leave this Facebook group. Yeah. Like, great. I am fully, this is not normally my bag. Heartstopper I like, but even that, you've been like, Ian, when I fucking watch season 3. Like, I think romance either is like stuff that hits for me that usually it's like, oh, I like this, but I still don't get like so obsessed, and this I have been so obsessed in the way that I know all 3 of you also have been. I just it bums me out that the haters that hate it have not actually given it a shot, because it's so much more than what they like boil it down to be. I saw a queer non-binary person that I'm friends with, and I think they also identify as a lesbian, was like saying they saw a lot of bad takes from queer women, which I was surprised at, because then I was like in their DMs and I was like, wait, do you mean gay men? And they were like, no, queer women. I haven't seen any gay men say anything bad. And I was like, wait, really? And I guess it just depends on what spaces you're in, you know, like where you see. And they showed me like a lesbian did like a lesbian influencer did like a 5-slide post about how it was like homophobic and like clearly hadn't watched the show. And I'm just like, I wish before we give these critiques, we actually watched the thing, because like it's not homophobic. No. I don't know.
No.
Someone, I got the most insane comment today. Someone commented on the post. I sent it to Ashley. Was like, oh, I don't support Russian actors. And I said, I don't know if you're doing a bit, but the guy's from Texas. And then the person said, I don't care, Russian or not, I don't support anyone who supports Russia. And I was like, what? Like,
So you don't support queer people from Russia because this is a queer character who happens to be
right?
Russian. Like, what's happening?
And a huge part of his story is that he needs
doesn't
to
feel
escape
safe. Yeah,
the
like-
Russian. Oh my god.
So people, and like, I'm sure that person probably is like patting themselves on the back for being very progressive. But like
I think
stuff like that.
The other thing too is that like I saw a lot of bad takes after episodes 1 and 2 as well, Ian, like you were saying. And this kind of show, and I don't think it was obvious to many people, maybe even including me, until like episode 3 and 4, then definitely 5 and certainly 6. Like it's a piece of art that's like better taken as a whole. Like,
Yes.
better taken as a whole. Like that's something Ilya would say as well. But I think that it rewards patience in a way that streaming series simply do not anymore. And I think that like this is doing something that a lot of streaming series just aren't doing at the moment, with its thoughtfulness around like color and symbolism and all sorts of stuff. And it's also like I've watched romance stuff before, and you don't think of it as the kind of genre where you have to put down your phone and watch it to like absorb every detail. And this is one where, you know, somebody is not entering the room and saying, I'm Ilyana Rozanov and I'm Russian and I'm scared for this. Like nothing in this series has been spoon-fed to anybody, which is, I think, where people might think that it's like maybe more difficult or dense to get into, which is really weird thing to say about a what we thought was going to be just a smutty romance episodic series.
Yes, and I think that's like that's why I get so bummed out about like people who hate on it without watching it, because it is so much more than that. There's also nothing wrong with like being like, oh, I like this smutty nonsense. Like, sure, but it is so much like Zach, we talked about in our group chat how a lot of people were like, oh, I can just watch porn. It's like, but it is so much more than just like the hot guys fucking. That is a nice part of it too.
It's great, yeah.
But there's
a
more
lot
to it.
In a way, it like mirrors like some queer relationships where you like came for the sex and then caught the feelings afterwards, which is like a meta part of it that is, I think, actually really clever if they did that on purpose.
I said that to my trainer this morning because I had like tagged him in a post that was like, if I'm late tomorrow morning, it's because I stayed up late watching this. I fell asleep halfway through, so I ended up having to rewatch it today.
I do not understand that.
I was like,
No, yeah.
I had popped an Ambien and smoked a bowl and was like, all right, now I'm ready. And then I forgot I had been up all day and like been with my family and was exhausted and was just like, wait, I keep forgetting what happened and falling asleep. So I was like, oh, I'll watch it tomorrow. But he was like, how are the hockey butts last night? And I was like, oh my God, great. And he was like, tell me about it, because I just wanted to talk about it. And I said to him, I was like, you know, this is really common in gay relationships where it starts with like, oh, you're hot, you think I'm hot, let's fuck. And then it's like, where does this go from there? And we don't see that a lot in media in general. And he was like, straight people do that too, Ian. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I guess that's like not a just exclusively gay thing. Like you can fuck and then be like, wait, I kind of like this person.
But we do see that in straight media all the time.
Yeah,
that's true.
And it's also appropriation, if we're being honest.
But like, I don't feel like we have seen that. Like, I can't think of a queer movie. Did Looking do that? Looking might have done that, I think. With like within Jonathan Groff and the Latin guy, like fuck.
Yeah,
and then start dating.
Kind of. But that was, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into. Oh, okay, then. We can get into Looking much later. That's a whole other fandom that you
a show that was not for me, that I did not need to hate tweet about and like moralize hating it. I could just be like, oh, this is kind of boring for me. That's okay. But okay, so the show is very short. It's wild that there's so much to talk about, and it's a 6 episode.
Well, okay, but also it covers 9 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I also kept forgetting.
9 years from the moment they meet to the cottage. I made a detailed timeline.
Ashley, Tell me the timeline, because I also was like, wait, is this like 5 years later? Huh, that's weird. And just
I have notes. Okay, so
Professor Hullett.
episode 1 covers almost 3 years just in episode 1.
I remembered that because I remember being like, wait, that is a big time leap.
Yeah. So it's like they meet in December of 2008. They don't start hooking up until summer of 2010.
Oh, okay.
And then there's so much. And then episode 2 doesn't start until 2011. And that covers all the way to the summer of 2014.
Wait, don't they hook up the first time they meet?
No.
I thought it was like he sees him in the showers, they start jerking off.
Nope. So they meet, and then we get the bike race. So they meet outside, right? The like smoking scene. And then there's a time jump.
Oh,
That's
okay.
December of 2008. And then 6 months later, in June of 2009, is when we get the water bottle bike thing. They don't fuck then, though. And there's another time jump to December.
Oh.
And they don't actually fuck until June of 2010. And that's the, like, shower scene.
It is wild.
14-10.
That is maybe the only thing where I'm like, I don't know that I would last. Like, I feel like I would just be like, not that I would be like, oh, I can't be with you, just I would drive myself truly insane if I was like this attracted and this in love with someone. But it's like, we see each other once every 6 months. There's a little bit of flirting. That's it. We fucked 3 years later. Like, I don't know that I would just not be able to not go insane.
Well, they don't even have each other's number until they...
Yeah,
Right.
exchange the
hookup.
text.
The
Yeah.
second hookup, yeah. So it's
And
really
Ilya-
just like there's not a lot of interaction happening in between those first like 2 or
Because
3 meetups.
Between when Scott and Kip's relationship end and they kiss on the like, say the grass, no, the ice.
Nice.
That's 3 years, right?
Okay, so I wrote down it's October of 2013 when Scott meets Kip.
Mm-hmm.
But then the timeline for them gets really like mushed together in the show because we even have the Scott and Shane fight on the ice, and all of that happens like before the Olympics at some point. And so their timeline in relation to Shane and Ilya's timeline is really hard to figure out.
I think that Francois Arnold, who plays Scott Hunter, gave an interview that said that they just had to like completely alter the timeline to make it fit in the show to get the moment that we wanted. And there's talk of a spin-off or something maybe in the future where we get to see like what happened in the in-between. But
yeah, because there's so much that happens.
Yeah, it's a whole book happens in the spaces. Yeah.
A friend that had read the book said in the book it's only 3 months between them breaking up and the ice moment, but that they have no interactions between then. Is that not?
No, there's definitely stuff in between then. Like Scott meets Kip's dad. They have dinner at his house.
Okay.
There's a lot that happens in between the birthday party scene and the ice kiss.
Because I did assume, well, clearly they've talked, because that would be psychotic, right? If you don't talk to someone for 3 years.
Right. And
then
then be
they're
like,
like,
come down here, I love you.
I'm in love
Like,
with you. Be a little caught off guard.
But it is 3 years in the show, and it makes no sense really if you think about it too hard.
Okay.
I had assumed that there was just a lot I had not seen.
Yeah.
You know, like I assumed there was like a back and forth bull that story was probably going to be told in the future. Was my assumption.
Because they were clearly not the focus. Like my friend Erin, she only got into it like last week and was like fully obsessed the way we are, and she was texting me everything. She was even like, what? I just forgot what I was going to say. What were we just talking about?
The Scott and Kip timeline in relation.
There was like something she asked me about that, but even I was like, I'm not even sure. Like she was unclear on the timeline, and I was like, there, I'm not sure.
It's one of my favorite things about the show is the way that they did the time jumps. Like the first couple of episodes, they are interacting so little that it's so like choppy and you go through as much, but the more that they talk and the more their feelings develop, the slower the time jumps get, and the more filler you get in between each time jump, and it's just like the extra little so good.
The books also make pretty clear that in terms of like pent up sexual energy. Like Ilya is definitely not staying celibate, and
Right.
they let you know like during the show that Ilya has his pick of women in whatever city he goes to. In Russia, he in the books anyway, he not only slept with his coach's son, but with his brother's girlfriend and a number of other like very dangerous sexual situations, which is kind of what gets him off in the first half of the book, and like a lesser extent in the TV series too, that he likes the danger
Yeah.
of the illicit sexual like situations that are happening. So, and I don't know that like Shane, and I know we're going to talk about these characters individually, but I don't know that Shane like had the emotional wherewithal to even like prioritize sexual energy in his life
Mm.
in a way that he was trying to just be the best hockey player he could be. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about how, you know, being on the spectrum, his focus was like he was hyper focused on that one thing, and Ilya was sort of like just what like blew it up for him, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait, was he officially on the spectrum? I thought that people were just
Yeah.
like saying he read
Yeah,
like
So-
like canonical.
It's like not on the pages, but it's a little bit J.K. Rowling-y at the moment. But the Rachel Reed has said that she had written him with the intent that he would be somewhere on the spectrum, and talked about it with Jacob Tierney, the show's creator, and Hudson Williams, the actor who plays Shane, and that's how they decided that he would be portrayed on the show. But
Okay.
like it's a post publication sort of confirmation of that fact.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was like very much subtext for the book.
Yeah.
But she was bringing it full text for the show.
Ew.
I guess Hudson Williams actually like read the scripts and affirmatively asked Rachel Reed if that was the case. So like whatever was happening in the scripts was enough to like alert Hudson Williams, who has like autistic family members, that
Yeah.
that is what the character was going to be like in this situation.
And I feel like that made a lot of sense with the storyline and the timeline, actually, because like you said, Ilya was doing his own thing, and then Shane was concentrating on everything that his parents kind of focused him and his life around, which was hockey. And so this infatuation that they probably had for one another from the moment they saw each other was kind of on the back burner for Shane. And for Ilya, he was able to take out those frustrations in other places. And so for me, it makes sense, especially because they're only seeing each other a couple times a year through the season, through their games. And so they would see each other, and then that spark would always still be there, or reignited or whatever. And so they would see each other every so often these couple of years. And over time, I think they probably got to know each other more. They got to feel the value that they had in those connections that they had with each other, as opposed to Ilya's, dalliances with these girls that he never saw again, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think it just made a lot of sense for both their characters, because Ilya, had a lot of issues with internalized homophobia from, his
Right.
upbringing and his country of origin. And Shane obviously had his, autism and probably a little bit of social awkwardness that he was dealing with. And so I think that whole storyline being 9 years in the making really makes so much sense. And honestly, it was like, it felt so realistic to me, because I think not everyone is the type of person to become, emotionally, I don't know. I think when people are focused on, especially people like these who are professional athletes and their lives, even if they're straight and just, pursuing kind of your run-of-the-mill heterosexual romance, a lot of times that's not their major focus. They're locked in on work. They're making millions of dollars. There's so much riding on their jobs, and especially
Yeah.
these two people who are both captains of major teams who are winning Stanley Cups. So it just makes a lot of sense. And I think the way it was told was beautiful. It made sense for their characters. It made sense for their jobs. It made sense for everything. And I don't know. I think that's why I was so locked in. It felt so realistic. It felt like something that truly could have happened. And like if this was like loosely based on a real story, that would be completely believable to me. I wouldn't be shocked. So I think that's why I felt so deeply obsessed to an unhealthy degree with the story.
My trainer this morning asked me, he was like, but what about the hockey? And he was like, how does that work? Like, what teams are they on? And I was like, I don't fucking know. I was like, the one guy's from Russia, his hockey team is from Russia, and the other guy's from Canada, and his hockey team is
From Boston. He plays
Boston.
for Boston.
Boston.
Ian.
Boston and
beat
Montreal.
Montreal.
I thought he
And there's-
switches to that later.
An actual famous rivalry.
What show did you watch, Ian? Come
No,
on.
but I thought he was like on a different team, and then he goes to Boston
when he was a teenager, and then he gets drafted. And
They get drafted.
Boston.
And there's also they play on the Olympic teams and they also play on the All-Star
Yes.
teams.
That
so
I
maybe that's
fully
where
did
you're
not
getting confused
understand.
at?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
because I was like, wait, what team are they on? They're on a different
Yeah.
team now. I did not quite understand how that worked. My
So
trainer
you gotta,
actually
you gotta
kind of
stop
got
smoking
it,
bowls before you watch
Yeah.
the show. You're losing important details.
Don't be
there are
rude.
some, like-
I can do it. You can do it. We just gotta calm the ADHD down and pay attention to all of the dialogue.
Speaking of hyper-focused.
The announcers were the ones that you had to listen to figure
love
out the
them.
team stuff.
Okay,
And
yeah,
there
when
are
you know-
some like real life parallels that like if you take queerness out of it, like there was a long rivalry in hockey between Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins and Sergei Ovechkin, sorry, it's a Russian name, of the Washington Capitals, and they probably did not do anything sexual with each other. So like nobody sue me, but like there were always like weird rumors about Sidney Crosby just being a little bit like the Shane character, and so those like my understanding is that there was like a queer sort of like fantasy like layered on top of what that real kind of rivalry would look like. And then the Scott Hunter character, there was a New York player called Mark Messier who like lived, did his entire career, and then like the very last minute he won the cup at the end as a very old man who was like 10 years younger than I am right now, but still like old for hockey. So and Ian, we talked about this in the group chat too, that like they kind of made Rose a little bit like Jennifer Lawrence, and they like there are other like when they refer to like the gay skater who's in Sochi, like we all kind of know that that's probably Johnny Weir or somebody like that. So there was like enough like grounding in real life around this that I thought also made it kind of special and like realistic in a way that we could see this playing out for us.
Yeah. Yes, is the player you mentioned, those names all just mushed to one name. The out player you mentioned, is he the grumpy guy that like did not like the show?
So no, and none of the players that I mentioned are out or gay at all. They're just sort of like straight people whose like hockey experiences sort of mirror what's going on in the Heated Rivalry universe.
Okay.
So not trying to start any rumors about Mark Messier,
But there
Mark
was
Messier.
there was a hockey player that was like said he didn't like the,
yeah, there was a hockey player that said that he had similar experiences in like bringing people back to his condo, and it was triggering for him to watch. And I had never heard of this hockey player before. I should say, like, while I am suspicious of fandoms, I am unfortunately a huge sports fan. And like, there are no more psychotic fans than Philadelphia sports fans. So I know
Yes.
a little bit of what you're going through in the comment sections. But that's another reason why I like this, that it was sort of like straight down the middle, a pitch to me of like sports and like queer shit happening at the same time. So I think that there's like elements of like real life hockey worlds that are brought into this by a hockey fan author that like she just layered queerness on top of.
See, and I'm not a fan of either of those things, yet this still worked for me.
Yeah, right.
So that is an impressive feat. I feel like I've mentioned this to you a million times, Ashley, but a lot of the pushback with this reminded me specifically of the pushback with Love, Simon when it came out. Like I wrote 2 whole articles about why everyone was going insane. Like I remember arguing with someone who told me that I was racist for supporting the movie, and I was like, say more about that, because I just wanted to know, not because I thought they were right, but I was like, where the fuck is this coming from? And their thing was, well, we have enough gay things with a white main character, we need a character of color. And I was like, I agree with you, but that is the term you're looking for is do better, not racist. Like if it was racist, it would be bad against like another race, not just starring someone. And they were like, no. And they like push back. And I've had people do that where like, internet brains, people hear a few words and then they want to like moralize a thing when you can just be, this is not for me, I don't like it. And that's okay. And that happened a lot with Love, Simon. And I've been trying to think about what the specific thing is, because that got so much pushback, and it's like a cute whatever movie. I remember reading the book thinking, it's okay. And this got like pushback like that. And I've just been trying to figure out, because I don't think I've seen queer media gets queer people love to rip apart queer media, right? We all know this. And I don't think I've seen such pushback since Love, Simon. Um, yeah, and I don't really know what the connecting factors are other than both are written by cis women.
Yeah, Alice that wrote Heartstopper gets a lot of shit too for being a woman, and I'm like, okay, well with Heartstopper, like she wrote more than just like, yes, it's Nick and Charlie's story, but also there's all identities that are explored in Heartstopper,
Right.
and I think that that's probably the most pushback that I've seen for this is that, well, it was written by a woman. Well, it was written by a woman. Well, it was developed by a queer man.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
written, created, produced, like, so
Yeah.
why tear down the show? Just don't read the books then,
Yes.
if you don't want to support.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't understand that thing.
That makes no
thought
sense
process.
to me at all. No, like I just don't get it. Like I'm so grateful. Like I said earlier when we started talking, I'm always looking for like new queer media. Like I'm always looking for representation on TV. Like those are the stories that I am so excited to watch. Like I'm so sick of watching shows and movies with only straight characters. I don't understand. I don't care who wrote it, you know. And this, especially if it's like a great piece of media. Like maybe
Yes.
if it was like a terrible piece of media, and I was
Exactly.
like, that's not how queer men are at all. Like,
Right.
then I'm like, oh, well, it was written by someone who doesn't. But clearly, she did her research. Clearly, she has had relationships with queer people in her life. Clearly, she spoke to them. Clearly, like she knows what she was doing because it was a beautiful story. I felt like I related to it. I had a lot of experiences that were similar to it growing up, and it was beautiful, and I haven't seen any pushback. I've been very lucky. I'm also not on
Haven't?
Twitter. No, I haven't
I'm
seen
not
a
on
single
Twitter
piece of pushback.
either. I mean, I just use it to post our new episodes.
I've not seen any pushback whatsoever, thank God. Because I don't know if it's just the spaces I put myself in or keep myself away from because I was on Twitter for so long. So maybe I'm really protective of myself because I ran at a high capacity on Twitter with a lot of followers and being part of the Star Wars fandom very largely on there was obviously very traumatic for me. And as a queer man, but if whatever, dude, as we're getting beautiful stories, I think a lot of the times for me as like a viewer of queer stories, I have to take myself away from those. Even if I get a hint of that sort of negativity, for me, I don't want to engage in it. I don't want to hear it because this is something. Not that many things bring me like so much joy in my life that I can't let people take that away, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your stupid opinion because one, it's your opinion, it's valid to you, but it's probably based on bullshit, and doesn't. I don't want it to affect my opinion at all because I just enjoy it.
Joe, try. And it's usually Slayerfest followers are very chill and nice. The comments are usually from someone who does not follow Slayerfest. And they are the worst fucking commenters. And like most of the time I'm just like, why did they need what made them feel better about leaving this comment to tell me you're posting about a thing you liked? Here's why I don't like it. I don't care. I genuinely do not care. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who feel small in their real lives need to go on the internet and bring other people's down or just I don't know, start a conversation. Maybe they're lonely. I
think that people
It's
sometimes think that is starting it, but that is not starting a conversation.
not. You're just being negative. You're pooping on someone who's just having a good day. You're shitting
And
on
I was just going to
everyone's
say, like,
parade.
I think that there is a conversation to be had about it, but I don't think that, like, I don't think you can go about it correctly with 280 characters, right? That's what it is. Like, until there are enough opportunities for queer people to write and to act and to direct and whatnot, like, I think that the question of like who gets to make what with what characters is important. I don't think that the answer should be disqualifying is the thing.
Yes.
And like we should, when we see somebody like Rachel Reed, who I don't think has made her sexuality public at all, but I thought I read somewhere that she is bisexual. I don't know if that's true or not, but like whether she is or not, like the other thing is that women are the ones who are reading and women are the ones who are writing this stuff. And I saw Jacob Tierney do an interview he was like, why on earth at this moment in history would we ever be pushing allies away? Like, it's fascism o'clock in America. And it's like, we're bordering Canada, and it's not as bad there. But of course, there are like right-wing movements there as well. So like, I agree with Joe that we have to like concentrate on the joy of this moment. But I hope that there are meaningful conversations happening like outside of internet spaces where we figure out how more opportunities are given to queer creators and queer creatives as well to like do their thing in the future. Like I hope that the message from this is not we need more specifically like hockey romances. Like maybe we do, but like I think that what people want to see is like meaningfully made queer content that people can be proud of, and that the entire staff of actors and directors are thrilled to go out there and talk about whether they are queer or not.
And to build upon that, Jordan Firstman, I forget.
Yes.
His comments were so dumb, but I also am like, I don't care. That's fine. Like it became a whole thing, but like I felt like for me that was the whole like problem with that. He was like, you know, we said that part, and I was like, if a man said that part to me after we came, I would be like, we're never doing this again. Like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, that is not, in my experience, how gay men talk during sex or after sex. Joe's gonna be like, well, I do.
No, no. I was gonna say like that was the one piece of pushback I heard was from him, and I thought to myself, that's so, I don't know, because I was watching I Love LA at the same time. I've stopped because not because of those comments or anything, just because I kind of lost interest. But I actually one of the part of it that made me stop was her coming home drunk with his coworkers and completely making a fool of herself. Rachel Sennett's character, I forget her name, but like that part just made me cringe so bad I had to stop watching.
It was like I was watching a horror movie.
But that's besides the point. But like his comments, it really, I couldn't watch it anymore. And then I think that whole episode and the episode before, not to talk about a different show, it made me feel old. I was like, I'm not from LA. I'm not 25. I don't think I can relate to these characters. I gotta go. But yeah, his comments, they were so, they made I don't know. I just felt embarrassed because I was like, and my first thought was, he was like, what, gay men don't have sex like this? And I was just like, I literally had sex like that this morning. Like, I you know what I mean? Like, we all have, just because we're all
Joe out here humble bragging
whatever
casually.
Part of the community doesn't mean we're all exactly the same.
Yes.
That we're all not the is we're not all 25 and from LA. Like,
it was such a tell. Like it was, and for me, it was like 15 to 20 years of like pent up anger about queer media, where the first criticism that comes from our community always is that does not represent my experience exactly. And that is awful. It's horrible to not see yourself represented on screen. But the fault is of like society and the entertainment industry, who are not providing like the depth and breadth of like queer experiences that we should be seeing. Like that's where we should be upset. We should not be upset that like somebody made a show that is not depicting exactly what you are feeling and seeing and like cleaning up after, right? Like that's what frustrated me about it.
And guess what? You're one person.
Right.
Out
like,
of billions of people.
Like,
you can't say no one's going to relate to this.
And that's the thing. No, and Jordan was giving us one piece of representation, and they were giving us the other, and there's a spectrum. There's a lot of that in between that we you know, none of us here are NHL players. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
it's a story.
And like,
I'm practicing.
I don't know. I get very like, I don't find myself in a lot of these things. It's like I relate to certain parts. It's like I could relate to Shane's anxiety. I could relate to his like type A-ness. I could relate to the hyper focusing. I don't relate to being a hot hockey player having the hottest sex in the world by any means. Like, I don't know.
That's true of any movie.
Yeah,
it's true of any movie or media. Like we're watching these characters. It doesn't need to be one to one. Like I'm not Indiana Jones, you know, but I'm still gonna watch that movie.
Right.
It's a higher standard for queer media because we're so starved for it, and we've been starved all of our lives. And like,
I think to your point, it's like we go for the lower hanging fruit because then we can feel, not we, but people, for the lowest hanging fruit because then they can feel in control. So I'm going to yell at the show for not doing the whole spectrum of queerness. When actually the problem is that like higher ups don't greenlight more queer projects, It's not the project's fault that like 4 get greenlit, but I do have to say, Stranger Things, I know people have issues. I watched it last night with my nephew, and I was like, I got really like emotional because I was like, this is cool. I'm watching this with my 11-year-old nephew where 2 gay characters are talking about their queerness to each other. And like, my nephew didn't blink. Like, he didn't say like, ew, or like, ugh. Like, I feel like when most of us were younger, a 11-year-old might have been like, ew, gross, like just to like no homo it. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I got really emotional watching Robin and Will talk, and I'm like, these are 2 characters that are fully formed characters. They're talking about their queerness and nothing else in this scene. And kids like my nephew, it's just like, it's fine because this is such a popular show, which leads me to the incorrect thing a lot of people have been saying about no queer characters. 3 of the best shows this year have starred queer heroes. Pluribus, Heated Rivalry, and Stranger Things have had queer characters at the front of the show. And I think there's something to be said for that. I think that like Pluribus so casually is like revolves around a lesbian romance. And like the main character is this grumpy, unlikable to certain people, not to me, lesbian who like can't stand anyone. Everyone's kind of going crazy, and she's the only one that's like, but there's a problem here. And people kind of look down on her for it. And I find that so relatable. And I don't know. I don't think we should diminish those other queer characters. And like, I Love LA was a pretty big show too. That had one of the main characters was gay. And like, I don't know. I think I'm always gonna want to be down to support stuff. Even like Boots. Zach, you watched it. I didn't watch it, but I'm not gonna hate on
Yeah.
it.
I watched it.
That was so good.
I don't know.
So-
That makes me happy that there have been more. Yes, Boots got canceled, but all the rest of them have gotten renewed, or it's their final season or whatever.
They canceled
I think
Olympus.
I think yes and to your point, Ian, like I think it's notable that there's been that queer characters are having a moment at the end of this year, and that's
Yes.
amazing. And I think that like it is absolutely connected to what is happening in the rest of the world, right? I think that is very true. I think that I also read like in a lot of the publication materials for Heated Rivalry that like I think it was GLAAD said that like half of queer characters disappeared last year from
Yeah.
TV. So this is great pushback that they are having that moment. And I think it is also connected to like a little bit of the way that this was made, like an indie movie, like free of a lot of corporate interference, which you hear in a lot of the interviews that Jacob Tierney is doing, that they wanted to introduce a woman character very early to make sure that there was an entry port for women, as if like women aren't able to connect to queer men in any sort of way. And that they had to wait for like 3 episodes until they kissed or whatever, when Jacob is like, well, as a gay man, I can tell you, like, actually, they probably were kissing like negative 2 episodes ago. Like, so like, so there's the whole corporate interference part of things. And the fact that like corporations like HBO was one of them who basically like took away their diversity, inclusion, and equity department. And then all through December, what you saw ranking at the very top of HBO's algorithm every single day was a show about gay ass hockey players, and then a horror show centered on a Black family. Mm-hmm. So like, I wonder if like we're turning a little bit of a corner where viewers and consumers are actually letting people know what they want, like not through protests, but through consuming good and quality entertainment. And I hope that that's the case.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, quick, we're gonna like do a little overview of the show. So episodes 1 and 2 were released together. I remember like I think it was like a week before I watched them, like right before the 3rd episode was gonna drop. And I was so surprised that everything I saw online, all the clips, was like the first 10 minutes of the show. I was like, holy shit, we're already seeing those gorgeous asses. And like, oh, they're already fucking. We're at like minute 15 and I've seen all of the smut I saw on like Blue Sky and Instagram from the show. That is wild. And to your point, Zach, of him saying like corporate sponsors wanted this, that I don't think that would have happened, right? If they used... Right. And HBO loves sex on their shows, but like not... more of like straight sex or incest or like sexual violence, not gay sex.
Yes.
Speaking of sexual violence, I just want to make a point about the female viewership. Even just like any women, but straight women, there's been a lot of discourse about why are straight women watching this. And I think that there is just something so safe and freeing about watching two men have sex when you have sexual trauma yourself. And there's literally no way that you can insert your body into this situation and be triggered by your past. And so it's just like a free, hot thing without the heaviness that comes with watching straight sex on shows.
Did you see on The View they discussed that specifically? Because Joy Behar said that, and then Anna Navarro was like, no, but also it's really hot.
It's also hot.
I saw some clips, but I didn't watch the whole thing, so I didn't see that part.
Ilya Rozanov is also a consent king.
Oh, my consent king! And it's so hot. It's so hot, the amount of times he checks in.
He checks in with Shane so much.
I told Ashley this, that's a turnoff for me. I'm like, don't ask me I'm all right for the 85th time. I feel like a child. If I say it once, that means I'm good. You do not need to ask me again. I vocalize it.
I loved Shane's like little Jesus Christ. And I was like, the just rail me is silent.
Yes.
I thought it was, I don't know. And the thing I also like is Ilya is Dom and Shane is like more of the sub, and like that is shown in a healthy, like it's not, I feel like a lot of times when that is romanticized, it's in a very toxic way.
Yeah.
Right. And this was not. This was just like, that is their dynamic. Shane likes this. I did see a very, very small vocal part being like, Ilya is too mean to him, but it's like, that little bottom is exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you think Ilya is being too mean to him in the bedroom, I don't know, baby. Like, lock in. I don't know what to tell you. Like, something about that just like, because I felt like it was all really sweet. And like, obviously there was so much consent given. It was just like like none of that was in question. And I thought it was like really beautiful. They just knew each other's dynamics right away and were like so connected sexually, and it just like worked perfectly. And I thought that was really, really great.
And like, right, I think that is also another appeal of it, because that is not always the case, right? You could be super attracted to someone. You could like talking to them, and then you get in bed and it's like, oh, damn it, this is not compatible. This doesn't work. That's happened to me where it's like, oh, but I really like this guy.
And vice versa, the other way too.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, we can't hold a conversation, but
don't talk,
know?
but take it.
I dated a guy that was that, and the sex was so good that I was like, whatever, this will be such good sex when we get home. It's so annoying.
Like, college.
Sadly, it was not college for me. It was post-grad school. But yeah, I dated a guy just because the sex was great, and like for way longer than we should. Either we didn't even like each other, but we were very sexually compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I like is we get that, and it gets pretty like filthy pretty fast. Like when Ilya in episode 2 is like, I want to watch.
Yeah.
Nope, you're gonna sit right there and I'm gonna watch, and you don't get vodka till afterwards, and take off your underwear. Like, that was fucking hot. And I don't know that I've seen that in like straight media, but I don't know that I've seen that type of scenario in queer media.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good.
That was the first scene that they filmed too.
Wait, really?
Which is wild.
Yeah.
That is wild to go straight to that.
Yeah. I also love that their dynamic was shown even before they started hooking up. Like the
Ilya was kind of a brat.
Scene,
The
water bottle scene when he's like, it like zooms in his mouth and he's like, more. And Shane is like, okay, and he like gets a little. I'm like, oh, okay, I know where this is. I know where this dynamic is going.
Love, as someone who goes to the gym often, I love the fact that like, because, and Joe, I know you are a gym girl too. Like, sometimes you look because someone's hot, not because you're trying to. It's just like, oh my god, and like you then look away. But I liked the brief glances of like, we saw Shane's eye line and it like going down to his thigh, and then like going up, and then like looking at his crotch. Like, I don't know. That feels real to me, even if you're not trying to fuck the person. Like, if someone really hot is, then you're like, oh my god, don't look.
Control yourself. Control yourself.
We all have gym lovers that will never know our names.
Right?
And I think that's beautiful.
And so episode 3, we get Scott and Kip. I am curious what everyone felt about Scott and Kip. I like that this was my friend Erin. This is what I was going to say earlier. My friend Erin, when she was watching, I think like I had just watched episode 5 and she's on this episode and she's like, oh my God. She was like, I love that we're getting in a parallel, but they're not telling us it's a parallel because like Scott and Kip didn't end up happy together and like they're not going to end up happy. And like, you know, Ilya and Shane don't have a model to look up to of like, will it ever be okay to kiss at and I'm like crying as she's texting me this because I'm like, she's saying all the things that happen in episode 5, but she doesn't know that's what she's saying. Yeah. And like, I hadn't really given it that much thought, but like, it very much is that. Like, it's setting it up to be like, this did not work. Oh wait, it does work. And look how like far they got with it working. Because they're all hot. Everyone's hot. No matter how hot someone is, I would drive myself insane if the only way we could see each other is like inside an apartment. It's not that I would be like, I don't like this person. It's just, I would go nuts. Like I would lose my mind. Ashley would be fielding texts all day, every day of me being like, he did this. What do we think? Like I just would drive myself nuts. So I liked that we saw that part of it did not work, but then eventually it was able to work clearly by him coming out and not having to all just be like in a cave.
Yeah. Well, that's what I liked about that episode so much is that, you know, it's a show about hockey players, but they really put the focus on Kip, the barista, instead. Yeah. And I think we've seen so many portrayals of celebrities who are closeted and how agonizing it is for them. But I really couldn't remember seeing another portrayal of the person on the other side of the relationship and how they had to recloset. And, yes. You know, Scott had nobody in his family, like his family died tragically, doesn't have siblings, did not seem like he had many friends. It didn't even seem like his coworkers really, you know, communicated with him at all. Yeah. But Kip, I thought it was really cool that that in an hour they were able to like create, I think, a realized world of a queer person who is living in a city, who has great friends and like a nice blood family and a nice chosen family at the same time. And, you know, being put in a situation where, you know, I saw this straight hockey podcast where they were saying like, if X hockey player who was captain of the American team and making like $20 million a year brought me home and told me to stay, like I would have had my mail forwarded that morning. Like we would not have like been thinking about like what steps 2 and 3 were. But I think for them to portray Kip with the wherewithal to be like, actually, this is not enough because my life was pretty great and these things that I valued are going to remain important to me. But I can't remember seeing that in another piece of media before.
And yes, ending, Zach. Also, his best friend's speech to Scott, I loved. Zach and I talked about it in the newest, my Nudie Judy, which has not come out yet. But because Zach did not like it. And I've seen some people think that they thought it was a little like not her business. But I think it's a very special type of friend. Like I could see my best friend Kim doing that. I could see Kirsten White, who's a regular on this podcast, doing that because I thought she was perfectly fair. I didn't think she was unfair because she said, you deserve it too.
Yeah.
But look how you're making him miserable. And he was making him miserable. And Kip was going to stay miserable unless Scott was like, I got to end this. And I think that's like a really mature way of showing that because, you know, my best friend Kim, when my mom was dying, my ex, who was like my big capital E ex, we hadn't spoken in a long time because we had a big falling out over whether Ian still had feelings, right? I called him because my mom was dying. He was like, I'm coming. Bring me to the hospital. Didn't have to be a discussion. And she, without telling me, she called him because I was like, oh, he's coming. She called him and said, if you disappear from his life again, I will kill you. She said, you cannot pop in when he is his most vulnerable and then leave him. And because I said to him, oh, you know, she's really happy you're coming. He was like, no, she's not. She called me. And I was like, what? He was like, she didn't tell you? And I was like, no. He was like, oh, I thought she like talk to you about it. I was like, she did not. Um, and there was a second where I was like, that's none of her business. And then there was another second where I was like, no, I feel good that she did this because she is correct. That would in the end hurt me more. And I don't know. I there's something about a friend like that who can fairly be like, don't do this. This is hurting
Yeah.
everyone. And out of love, like I thought she did it out of love.
Yeah. And it wasn't just
Absolutely.
like, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I was just agreeing. Absolutely.
Yeah. She wasn't doing like the empty threat thing either where it's like hurt my friend and I will
Right, right,
kill you.
right.
She had thought this out. And somebody asked me like, "Well, do you think that it was appropriate she did it on her first time meeting Scott?" And I was like, "Do you think she's going to get a second one if they're
Right.
living their life in the closet the whole
Right.
time?" Like
Right.
she had to take that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it gave
It's
us
probably
the sunshine callback in episode 5.
Yeah, which becomes important musically later. I think, and maybe this is like more of a conversation for episode 4, Ian, but like it it's sort of indicative of how they treated women in
Yes.
this entire series as well. Women were allowed to be like strong, have
Mm-hmm.
agency, stick up for themselves and the gay men that they love, which has been like more of my experience
Yes.
than seeing like a lot of other queer media where either gay men are like the comic sidekicks to the women, or women are like shrill and like chastising them for not paying attention to them, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. And like um and that's part of like an even larger conversation. I was so nervous watching the show that like a lesser show could have gone off the rails at so many
Hmm.
moments. And by making these women like meaner than they were, or like less empathetic and caring, like it really could have gone in the same direction that a lot of unfortunate queer media goes. And this just, I thought, struck the balance of like
Yeah.
how actual friendships between women and gay men work in real life in ways that I thought were touching.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming out, like the women in my life were the lifeline I had. Like
Yeah.
those friends were they're so important to me that even the ones I don't talk to, I still like think of. I still like the my friend Robin who painted this Sam Geller painting for me on my 19th birthday. I remember she was one of the first people I told, and she was like, okay. And like 2 months into dating my boyfriend, she was like, I have to do a photo project, and you have to do it on photographing couples that you don't normally see photographed together. Can I do you and your boyfriend? And she like did a whole photo project of me and my boyfriend at the time. And I can remember we went to these railroad tracks to take pictures, and I remember as she's like setting stuff up, we're behind her, and she was like, stop kissing, you sound like squeaky sneakers. And like I just always think of that, like I don't know, and it was just like casual, it was no big deal. And those are really important relationships when you're like in general, but especially when you're like new to coming out or maybe closeted, or I don't know. I love that. So speaking of Rose, going on to episode 4, someone on Blue Sky said this, and I agree that a lesser show, if this were like an American show, Rose would have been a whole season long plot line. In the
Yeah.
finale, she would have walked in on Ilya and Shane and not reacted so nicely. I love that this is just this episode. I would not have liked the story to be that, where it's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
juggling the two. I don't need that. Um, she's likable from the start. She's like you said, Zach, she's never shrill. They do a good job of like, she's just kind of like hitting on this guy she thinks is hot, and then like, that's fine. And then it's like,
And
okay.
they do have good chemistry.
They do, yes, yes. Which she even knows. I love that she knows that. She's like, yeah, you like talking to me.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. Joe, what'd you think about Rose?
I loved her. She's felt like a real person. Like we didn't get
Yes.
too much time with her, but she still felt like a real person. Their conversations felt real. Like she had her own motivations. She had her own career that was very, very successful next to this NHL player. And I loved their relationship, and I loved how she approached him when things weren't working out. Like
Yeah.
even that scene where we see her getting out of Shane's bed, and there was clearly like a bad sexual experience last night where it just didn't work, and she wasn't like nasty or disappointed
Yeah.
or mean about it. She gave him a kiss goodbye, and like it really is not a big deal. It's fine. And I thought that was really beautiful because like she cares about him. She may have something going on in her mind where she's like maybe he's attracted to men, but she's not harsh about it. She's not mean about it. She doesn't want him to feel bad about it, and I think that's really beautiful. I think a lot of like maybe other shows that like you guys were saying, maybe that was ran by like a straight person or something, maybe they would have had her angry and felt betrayed and felt hurt and like maybe came at him in a really harsh way. But not this character. I loved her. And I love that it made sense. She's like, oh, yeah, I went to theater school.
Yeah.
80% of my book went
Yeah.
to gay. Like,
So good.
that's funny. It's cute. I loved it. I really liked her. And like when we first met her, I was like, no, stay away from
Yes.
my sweet little angel baby bottom. And but like I was so happy she was in the story, and I love her, and I hope we get to see more of her in season 2. And I would love to see her meet with Ilya and like kind of have see
Yes,
what that
yes.
dynamic would be like.
And I am a Yellow Jackets girly, speaking of other queer shows that are great. And I hate young Shauna is like my mortal enemy. So I kept saying like my back arched and I hissed like a cat when I first saw it. Because I hate Shauna. And I loved this character. Like I feel like that actress, she has such good range that she can play like, because Ashley, you kept up with Yellow Jackets, right? Or no?
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah,
Yellow
because
Jackets.
right, she is like the main villain. Like,
Yeah, and like total opposite. Rose is the total opposite of Shauna.
so like I'm impressed that she could do both and sell both really well. And the thing that I kept thinking that was really funny is in episode 5 when it tells her he's a bottom and she's like, ah, like her reaction that she makes is the same reaction young Shauna made this year when a man got axed in the head. And I just love inside you there are two wolves and both of them between very different things. Like I love that. Closing out episode 4, I do have to say I didn't love that Shane was once again circling back to the like I can't do this. I was like, why are we doing this again?
Because
But I
feelings
appreciate
are scary.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
that it was
thought-
just that, and then we quickly they're
Moved on.
fucking again. It's fine.
I also
But it
just-
also. Oh, no, go ahead, Ashley. I'll go
no,
after you.
I keep cutting you off. You go.
But like the entire reading the book, and Ashley, I know you said you're about to, but the tuna melt scene is iconic for romance readers. Like the fact that in I think it makes sense what scared Shane off this time, right? The fact
Yes.
that Ilya had a ginger ale waiting for him, was making him
We paid
food.
attention.
Exactly. He paid attention to everything he was
Yeah.
doing. And as he's on the phone, like you find out like when he's speaking in Russian later, all he did for his family was pay attention and provide them food and clothes.
It's
And
his
then
love
like that's what
language.
right, and that's what he's doing for
I'm
Shane
gonna
there.
cry.
I know. This is really hard to talk about. And then when Shane eventually like has his post-nut clarity and is like, oh my God, this is like too much for me. And like if you're thinking about like why the show is so well made, like it's one of the first times they're like fucking in the light. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's like windows, there's sunlight coming in on them. And like it's so everything just became clear to him in a way where, and we'll get to it in the finale, like Shane is a person who has panic attacks and was overstimulated and over emotionalized and had to get out of there. So I think that like while it's frustrating and maybe like a romance trope that if you're not reading them all the time, it could be just sort of like eye rolly. The fact that like there is a back and forth where somebody, there always has to be a barrier. Like what romances do well is create a barrier why these two people cannot be together. And if it's not one thing, which is like Ilya's Lothario playboy life, and when he just gets the inkling that he needs to settle down, they need a new barrier. So Shane needs to freak out a little bit. And like that leads us to the club, which I hope we don't leave episode 4 without talking about the club, because the club feels like a very important scene to me, or at least if you look how many times I've watched it on my computer, it would indicate to you that it is very important. And it is a callback to Scam. I don't know if anybody here is a fan of Scam.
Zach's
the
been trying to get me
Norwegian
on the
show.
scam train.
If the thing is, Ian's going to watch season 3 of Scam, which I've tried to get him to watch over and over again. It's the blueprint for coming out TV shows. It's amazing. Ian's going to do a whole series on it on this podcast because I know he's going to love it so much. You just have to read subtitles. But anyway, the trope of like people looking at each other from across the club when they know that they're the ones who are meant to be together. It's just like it was just all so well done. All of episode 4 was so well done, and I think that that's the point where it went from
Yes.
oh, this is kind of actually prestige TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the moment I was like, awards, and
Yeah.
I need all of the awards immediately.
I feel sick thinking about the episode. I can't even. I like genuinely. I want to get on the ground and start screaming.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing. It felt so realistic. It made so much sense for these characters. I felt so sad. I don't think I've ever felt as emotional as. I think that's when episode 4 is. I mean, I was locked in this whole time, but this episode 4 is when I felt like so emotional and so smacked in the face and like truly like I felt like someone was holding me down underwater. Like I couldn't handle this whole thing and I was so emotional. And then to end on that club scene, devastating.
And it's why people come back to romance, right? Like 2/3 or 3/4 of a way through a romance novel, shit is going to happen that is going to keep our characters apart before we get to our happily ever after or happy for now. And the worse it twists the knife into you, the better that resolution is going to be in like what is coming in episode 5 for us or whatever the novel is or show is that you're happening to watch. So like I took it knowing that like this is so brutal that it's going to be so much sweeter on the other side, but I was not prepared for just how brutal the entire episode was going to be.
I think because it's not so long, I read Red, White, and Royal Blue at the peak of its popularity. I was working at Barnes and Noble. The breakup part is like, that book is so long, and the breakup is like 150 pages of them breaking up, and I hated that. For me, I was like, this is going on too long. Yeah. Either the book needs to end and they're broken up, or we need to get to them getting back together a lot faster. And this didn't do that. So this is why it worked for me. Joe, sorry.
Agreed. No, I'm sorry. I'm just having a panic attack. Like genuinely, the episodes, the weeks between episode 2 and 5 were some of the hardest of my life because I truly felt so like distraught from the we didn't even kiss to then the episode with Scott and Kip. Like ending on the cupcake or whatever, and then the episode 4 ending the way it ended, I felt sick. I just kept getting. I was like hoping for resolution every episode, and it just wasn't happening. And if it had lasted another week, I don't know where we would be today.
And a worse show would have made it. Yes. A worse show would have made it last longer. And like the fact that we open episode 5 with like an amazing coming out scene is like so great. And the gay men in my life who were like ready to like riot and like kidnap Rose Landry, I had to be like, you just have to trust me that like this is all going in a good direction. And I didn't tell them that like eventually they're going to be besties, and in the book they text a lot more and she really does like show up for him when he needs it. But like I really did need to calm the gay men in my life down who are watching this, who are ready to like start their like online burn book of Rose Landry. God love her.
Also, I've been keeping a tab of my favorite needle drops in TV of the year, and this series has 2 of them. One of them being this, the other one being in next episode, which makes me want to cry. But like the needle drop of the version by Tattoo into the cover version.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
Yes, I love it. It gives me chills. I start getting chills when we see Ilya clock miles and then we get the slow-mo turn to scan the crowd. That my heart was like, I was watching it with my friend Katie. I was at her house to watch it and I was like, I'm going to throw up. Like, I'm going to throw up.
Yes.
And then when and I love that they faded it into that slowed down remix for Shane's perspective. Like we get Shane's perspective with the slower music, and I was like, this just, and it just makes so much sense for their characters too, that Ilya's would be like chaotic and like, I need to fucking get laid so I can get over this man, and for Shane's to be like, oh my god, this isn't working with her and my world is falling apart.
Again, I relate to Shane's. He's being a little like emo bitch boy, and I'm like, oh, I understand.
Also, I love the fact that her name is Rose, because if their names are the same, you can't say the wrong one.
Exactly.
I was like, Rosenoff,
I never even made that connection.
Holy shit, Rosie. And I'm like...
And the fact that like Rose is shorter, so it's just like, it's not enough. You need the whole thing. You can't just have Rose. You need Rosenoff. I also love how it's like all these episodes and like the show itself is like all these like parallel sort of things that are happening, but this episode is like really great parallels to and but I'll save that for episode 5 when it has like the best parallels of all.
So,
But yeah.
Do we want to? We'll move into episode 5. I love the coming out at the very top of the episode.
So good.
It is such a well done scene, and I gotta give. I mean, the thing that people don't give enough credit to is these are really good actors, and I thought Hudson's acting in that scene, I again related to because I am. My friend Zach has said that I'm I forget what he calls it, a whatever crier, where you can't tell if I'm crying unless you look and my eyes are usually red. And he did that, where he's like, because he's freaking out, but he doesn't know how to verbalize it. And she's being so kind about it, so he knows he can't be mad. And even with that, I do think in a lesser written show, he still would have gotten mad. And it would have been like, but she's being so nice about it. And he understood that. And he understood that, like, he needed to come out to someone.
We see him the entire show denying everything to anybody that even talks about,
and she's just like, this is what you are.
Yeah. And he doesn't deny it. He not once does he try to deny that he is gay.
Yeah.
It's not her first gay rodeo.
Right. And I love that. Because like you said, Zach, that those people are very important in your life, especially at this time. And to have someone who's like, oh, I've done this before. Like, so many of my boyfriends left me for men. That's fine. Who cares? Like, she was such a cool character and so sweet about it. And when she like reaches and touches his hand and even makes sure to say, maybe I'm way off base. That way, in case, in case she is wrong or he needs an out, she is giving him that to be able to say, no, I'm not gay. And her to be like, okay. And I feel like she would not have pushed. She would have said, okay, knowing that he is gay, but been like, all right, sure.
And I love when she does something that Ilya does at the very end of the series, which is like actually sees Shane for who he is and understands like this is a boy who is not picking up cues. So she is able to like transform that into a loving act and actually say out loud, I'm going about this the wrong way. I need to be more direct with you. I think that you want to be kissing Miles. How do you feel about that? Silence, let it go. And like it, so the fact that she and Ilya are kind of the only ones who can pick up on the fact that Shane needs that extra social cue push on things, I thought was also really meaningful.
I know. I love her also being, when he's like scrambling to try to think of how is he going to explain this to her, and she's like, you don't owe me anything.
Yes.
You do not have to explain yourself.
It's not a problem. A problem is something you can fix.
Yes.
I
need a Rose spinoff. I would love a Rose Elena crossover spinoff.
Well, don't leave out Svetlana, who we're about to talk about too.
So I cried at that. I cried at like everything and every plot beat in fucking episode 5 I cried at.
Ian texted me and he's like, you haven't watched this yet, but I have the worst fucking headache because I just watched episode 5. And I was like, I can't watch it till later. And he was like, hydrate and like bring Advil because the entire time is crying. And I cried throughout the entire thing.
It's like rising crying where I'm crying and crying more, crying the most. Like
I texted my friend and was like, I cried for a full hour and a half, and they were like, isn't it an hour-long episode? And I was like, yeah, I was crying for 30 minutes after it ended. Like
recovery
ugly
time.
Sobbing for 30 minutes.
The only other things that have ever done this to me are 1, Buffy, and 2, a very weird Train to Busan. Have any of you ever seen that movie?
No.
It is not just a it is the fucking
I have seen that movie.
It is so sad. Zach and I watched it when we were recording for My Bloody Judy. We watched it together at his house. I had to go sit in their guest room where I was staying so I could cry on the floor for 20 minutes. Like I was like, I just need to sit by myself. And I sat on the floor in this bedroom that was not my bedroom and just wept because it was just such a miserable, sad ending. And this show has done that to me now but it was like the opposite of a miserable cry. Yeah. And with Buffy to Ashley, it's usually a sad cry.
The only thing that I can compare the like absolute takeover sobbing, like I can't even see a clip on the internet without bursting into tears, is One Day, which I'm so mad about and I hate and will never rewatch again. And it was like that for like 3 months, where I would just like see a screenshot of that and I would just be like But
So
it's the total opposite because I have so much love for this one.
right, and that's nice. It's nice to have
Yeah.
that cry instead. So is the funeral next? I think
I
I
think
can't.
so, yeah. When he
can't.
disappears
yes. Joe,
and
speak
nobody
on
knows
it.
why.
I can't. I just I'm not even joking. I've cried every episode, I think. Like not maybe not the first one, but like the whole thing it's just sick. Like the acting is so incredible.
Yes.
And I think that's another reason I was so locked in on the show, not just because of the
Yeah.
hot hockey players, not just because of the great storyline, not just because of the great writing. It was genuinely the acting is incredible.
Their chemistry is bananas. Like
Yes.
Chemistry is incredible. Like you believe these characters have these emotions. You believe that they have these feelings for each other, and then you go into like the story. It's so good. And then you see him in Russia, and you get so much more backstory on why Ilya is the way he is, not just through like not being hit over the head with it, but like subtext and everything.
Yes.
Like the storytelling, the music, the lighting, everything. It's so you really feel like you're there. I'm sure it was Toronto, but it felt like the deepest darkest part of Moscow's asshole. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was brutal. And like that whole scene, him losing his father, who truly he felt like he didn't really know who he was, and his father was always tough on him, but it was still hard because he feels like he has no one now, and his brother hates him, and he knows why. And the whole speech, and I want to
I'm gonna
vomit.
cry.
I want to vomit
Yeah.
and cry.
And Connor's story needs
He's
to win awards for this acting because the monologue, the phone call monologue, but also the fight with his brother
yes.
Like,
I cried
the
at the fight.
acting-
Yes.
is so good. And those are two scenes that would be hard to deliver in your
Yeah.
native language. And he did it in fucking Russian.
Yes. Yes. When he like grips up his brother and is yelling at him, I cried because I was like, fuck, this is why he is the way he is. And we also have not seen him break like this. The entire show, he's been more of the rock type where he's like, oh, I'm the like quiet guy who keeps his feelings on the inside. And so to hit that breaking point, and also kudos to Svetlana for knowing I need to walk in right now.
He.
Yes.
Yep.
And she
And
didn't
say that
even
Shane is a
blink.
he.
Yes. And she didn't even blink when what's his face, the brother was like, oh, you're a
Oh, you're a
whore.
whore.
And she's just like, he's not worth it. Like she just wanted
No.
to help Ilya. She did not
Yes.
give a fuck about this dipshit brother. And that is like the true friendship love, right? Like
Yeah. And in the show, they've been friends since childhood. And
long
so
time,
I'm
right?
sure
Yeah.
she's had this dynamic with the brother before.
Yeah.
right.
Same in
I'm
the
sure
book,
she
too.
I'm sure she fucking hates him. And
Let me join.
Yes.
I was gonna say, let me join like the Connor story like parade that we're doing here. My two favorite Connor story moments from this were when they're at the All-Star game and they're at the bar together, and he's
So
trying to
good.
find like 4 or 5 different ways to ask if he's still with Rose or
Yeah.
not.
Yes.
And then when Shane is like, I hired a personal stylist, and in the book it's a lot more explicit that Ilya is expecting him to say, I'm engaged, or she's pregnant, or something like that, because they haven't been keeping in touch. So when he says he's a stylist, the fact that we get to see like Ilya actually crack and smile and laugh about that because it's such a relief is, I think, really fantastic. And then on the other side of the emotional spectrum, when they're in the hotel room together, well, first of all, when Shane comes out, Shane, who has been railed as a bottom by this guy for 9 years, comes out as gay. Love that. Love that for everybody involved.
And I love that Ilya laughs and then he's like, okay, and like sits
Okay,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. You're finding out about yourself. When Ilya sits down and they're actually talking, and he says, like, I can't go back to Russia. Like, this is real for me. Like, these are the stakes in case you haven't gotten it before. And you probably haven't because you didn't pick up on it on the
Right.
hotel, like, rooftop in Las Vegas. So let me be explicit with you now. And then, like, Shane actually comforts him for the first time. And then he says, sorry,
Yes.
because he doesn't want to
Yeah.
burden anybody. So,
And
yeah,
I think
just
they
yeah.
had said in the books, it was like very clear that he has not allowed himself to cry in over 10 years. So this is the
In 10
first
years,
time
yeah.
that he is crying in 10 years.
I saw someone say like these are the two worst people to be communicating, an autistic man and a Slavic man. Like, the two worst people at communicating, trying to make it work. It was very funny.
Which is why they needed like 3 episodes of sex scenes, because that's
Yes.
how they were communicating.
Yes.
So like when
Yeah.
people were saying Like, why is the acting so wooden? Well, one of them is autistic, one of them is Slavic.
Yeah.
Why do they need so many sex scenes? Because the only way that these dummies can communicate with each other is through their bodies.
Yeah.
And like, watch 3 more episodes and you'll find out that that's the case. So going back to your original point, Ian, like, this was all like set up from the beginning to be exactly the way that it was.
Yeah.
But then when you rewatch it back, you can see the love and the feelings, even when they're not saying it. That stairwell kiss.
Oh,
So
the eye acting. Like the way that it's like heart eyes, like genuine, like you see hearts in their eyes.
Yes.
It's the memory he goes back to when Rose is like, and like he could have gone back to like any of the sex scenes that they have, but the only things that they flash back to were the emotional memories that they had together, which is meaningful. I know.
God.
Yeah, I have him in my notes as Shane Starry Eyes Hollander.
Yeah.
So speaking of crying, we got to get to then Ilya calling him, and oof. Shane trying, like we said, he's very autistic, coded, but also on purpose, we now know. I like that he's like, okay, but I don't know what if this, because Ilya says what it's like too hard. The English
is too hard.
He's grieving. That's understandable. This is not, English isn't his first language, and so Shane, which I don't know, I feel like I've said this 800 times, but I don't know that I've seen this before either, where he's like, then just say it in Russian and try to feel better, and lets him like fully, and I'm gonna fucking want to die. But when he says that he loves him in Russian,
I screamed. I was crying the whole time. I replayed the whole thing over and over again. It was too much for me. It broke my brain.
I'm so I don't even know what to do with it.
Beethoven could have never imagined that Moonlight Sonata would have been used so well. I wish we could go back and tell him that that's what was happening.
Could have been so happy.
I also love that, like, even at the end of it, like, Shane's got a Shane, where like, he's like, I would love to learn Russian someday, and then he says, Ilya says something in French, and he's like, that's French, Ilya.
Yeah. Yeah.
And never getting the joke.
Right? Yes. And like, Joe, I also yelled. Like, I yelled because I was so caught off guard, and I yelled, and then I wept. Like,
I did not yell. I went.
I was just like, I felt so good that he said it. I was like, Ilya, I love you too. Like,
when he paused and like fuck and looked away, I was like, do it, say it. And I love that the like extra little touch of we see the police car go by.
The cinematography in that scene is beautiful. He is in that weird tunnel, and the way we do close up to like pan out to close up, and like we see his face like kind of like move, like it is so hard for him. Everything he's saying here is so hard for him, and our boy is getting there.
Hang it in the
And then at the end of it, Ilya tries to like pivot into a joke like he usually does when Shane is like, what would you want to learn in Russian? And he's like, like fuck me or something like that. And then Shane like redirects him back and is like, I would want to learn, I wish you were here with me.
And he responds in Russian again because he just can't. He just can't.
I wish I were too. Yes.
And not to make everyone cry more, but all I think of with these lines is the line in the finale that made me cry so hard, where he's like, my mom would have loved you like I do.
Yes.
No, don't. I am an ugly crier. I can't cry on screen.
I can't do this here.
I'm very ugly when I cry. I can't do that. That broke me so much.
But so the end of this episode, it was like hit after hit after hit of Ian, you're gonna fucking cry, you little bitch. And like, man, when Scott and Kip, when like he's like calling him down, and they start playing that Wolf Parade song, which I love, by the way. I love this, and I Love LA played a lot of like indie sleaze from like 2008. That was like my entire personality back then. I was waiting for MGMT to start playing in one of these shows. Like, I was like, fuck, one of the hottest guys I ever had sex with was a big Wolf Parade fan back in the day, and is the person that got me into them. He was terrible, but he was really hot. And I was like, that brings me back.
And shout out to Feist. That was also like a big two Feist songs, which were very important.
And none of them were the 1, 2, 3 song. It was other songs too.
Exactly.
But we get Scott calling Kip down, And I love that it's his best friend. He's like, what do I do? And she's like, go, like,
Yeah.
go kiss him.
And it takes him 800 years to
Oh
get
my
down
god,
those
12 business
stairs.
days. I was like, bitch, run.
Like,
Run.
get there. Yeah.
This,
I would have been falling over people. I would have tumbled down those stairs.
so I picked up the books after episode 3 because of them, right? So I read their whole book before this episode came out. And so I started ugly crying the second that we see Shane in his living room watching, and we hear the announcer say, in under a minute, the New York Admirals will have done it. And I was like,
Yeah.
And it hit me that, like, we're about to see Shane and Ilya texting and watching this happen, and I just ugly sobbed from the whole. And Zach, at this point, my partner came out and was like, like, looked at me on the couch, like, having a full-on meltdown, and he was like, do you want me to, like, I don't even know what he was going to say, because I basically was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
This
literally.
is not the time. I think I
not
said,
concern
not
you."
now. Not now. And he just, like, turned around and went back to his office.
Yeah.
No, my husband and I were watching, and I was like, we need a time to watch this with an uninterrupted hour,
Yes.
because I know what's coming, and I know what they need to fit into this hour, and we need, like, just this uninterrupted space. And I'm glad that we did, because
Zach,
you
I
needed
remember-
the continuity.
Before either of us had watched, I remember you saying in our group chat that, like, well, they're going to have a lot of plot this episode if they're leading up to what I think they're leading. And then you were fully correct. Like,
Yeah.
and so that made me cry. And then Ilya called
Their
Um,
reactions, yeah.
the reactions, and I appreciated that the parents were I appreciate the way Shane's parents were portrayed. They were just like, oh, like they weren't super homophobic, but they weren't super like, yay, good for. They were just like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, it was realistic.
And they didn't
Yeah.
turn it off. They were captivated about what was happening. I love the close up of their faces and the way that they're you can read how they're like Shane is like, oh,
Yeah.
this is an
This
option.
is possible. Yeah.
Can I have this? And Ilya is like, oh, I'm having this right
Yes.
now. I'm calling my man.
Yeah.
And
In the books too, like it's also very clear, which they sort of hint at here, that like Ilya is packing to go to Russia at that moment. Like they're putting stuff in the suitcases for his niece, et cetera, et cetera. So like this was not something that like Ilya was even like looking for an excuse for. Like this was a revelation for
Right.
him that happens and like this is I think where it's really important what you said before, Ashley, that like we've spent 9 years with them. And while that's frustrating to see in montages, maybe at the beginning, like the fact that we've spent this much time for them. And now the fact that they are only realizing after 9 years that this might be an option for them, I think makes the timeline at the beginning like even more meaningful than
yeah. And then I love that the music stops when he says, I'm coming to the cottage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get Shane going, and then the music goes back. Like I thought that was such a good, because that's how I felt. Like it was like record scratch. Like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah.
Ilya's
like,
gonna do it, fuck!
at Pride's this year, we will see like I'm coming to the cottage shirts and hats and stuff like I hope I may be in them myself. So like I love that we've been given another like short pithy little phrase that's going to I
have my shirt.
Someone also made like a brain rot song out of I'm Coming to the Cottage. And I have listened to it.
Yes,
it is like gone triple platinum. We were actually leaving Christmas last night and my partner was like, are you excited to go to the cottage? And I was like, yes, I am. And then he put the song on. He was like, I said words I never thought I would hear come out of my partner's mouth. Hey, Siri, can you play Fraudage Core?
We also breezed past this, but we're going fast. Shane in the hospital was so fucking cute.
Oh, my God.
When Ilya gets in there and he's like, hold my hand.
And his heart rate goes down.
His little, yes.
281.
Grabs his hand.
Yes.
Yes.
was
yes,
his
281.
number,
Ilya's number. Wow.
That was
So
so
sweet.
sweet.
In the book too, there's extra significance because he was planning on breaking up with Shane that night. That like after his Russian conversation and like realizing that he was in love, but that there were no options going forward, that like if the accident didn't happen, there would have been a breakup that night. So we can all thank that dummy Marlowe for like actually tackling
Derailing.
Shane. And Shane, it must be said, deserved to be tackled. You don't like make
I
cute
know.
eyes at other people in professional sports. You don't turn around and be
Yeah.
flirty with another team member. Shane had it coming, I'm sorry to say, and I'm glad that it all like ended up in the right space and it like was a domino effect into like them ending up at the cottage. But if I were the coach, I'd be thinking about like how we trade Shane in the future.
I
This is not
heard
a guy.
some
He is
hockey
not locked in.
podcasters. Yeah, I heard
Not
some
locked in.
hockey, straight hockey dudes
Empty
that do a
netters?
podcast that was talking about this. I just saw, I don't know, I saw a clip on TikTok and they were like, they were like, if I was that coach, that he would not come back to my team.
No.
Like that
Can't be
was
stigmatized with
unacceptable.
ice. Yeah.
Also, when
And
he's like
it-
on the stretcher and he's like, "But tell Ilya he's
Tell
gonna
him
be
he's
so
gonna
worried."
worry.
Yeah.
All right, so the final episode.
Yes.
We open with Scott giving a very nice speech, which I liked. And then the boys we're on our way to the cottage. Love it. We don't need to wait. I love that we waste no time in this series.
None.
And immediately at the cottage, Ilya's always been bratty, right? But we're seeing him be bratty in like a different way and seeing him be more vulnerable. I fucking love when he's like, "Is this a Jeep?" And he's like, "No." And then when he's like, "Was that a wolf?" And he's like, "That's a loon." Like he like is not a nature boy at all. And I love to see
And I love that he's like open. He's more open immediately, right? Because like even in the car when he's like, "I'm excited you're
Yeah.
coming," and he's like, "Me too," but also I'm like terrified, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's not a line we would have heard him say before this, you know?
Yes.
And the way
And it's-
the first
It's
kiss,
kind of unclear, like what he's terrified about. Like it
Yeah.
could be multiple things. Like, is he terrified of like going forward with this? Is he terrified of
Right.
being caught? Is he
Right.
terrified of never being able to go home? So like, it's like terrified is so like chock full of different meanings there. That I think that's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. And Ilya, not only is Ilya more vulnerable, but he's also like a little bit more bottomy, which was I liked seeing
Yeah,
when
we
he's
see
like,
some little we see some
Yeah.
stuff flip around a little bit.
I mean, we got an ass like that, you can't waste it.
No.
But like, I kind of like that he was the one when Shane's on. Who was on the phone with? Was it no?
Shane.
Hayden.
Hayden.
Yeah. Shane.
When he's like blowing him, I was like, all right. Like oddly, that like did it for me. I thought that was hot.
That's
even
that's boyfriend behavior. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
cute, like boyfriendy stuff. That's not just like hookup stuff. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
that's an annoying boyfriend who wants your attention, and
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's a
Yeah.
good way that like they were able to get that across again with like expressions of their bodies. Like they're telling the story through that. Not only the two of them are telling the story, but like the creators of the show are telling the story of this couple through their sexual exploits.
And this final episode was all about their tenderness and their love, but I
Yes.
still appreciated that we got the dirty stuff like that, where it's like Ilya is sucking his dick and we hear the noise. It's not just like oh, we see Shane's face and he's like reacting. It's like we see Ilya's head bobbing up and down on a sucking. We hear the sucking noise.
The sound
Yes.
effects in the show go hard.
Yeah.
yeah. Foley
When I watched
Artist
the first
Awards.
two episodes, I remember like telling someone, they were like, "But how? Like, is it good smut?" And I was like, "You hear the glug glug? Like, you got you get everything."
Yes.
I honestly, I was expecting to see cum like on his lips when he lifted his head up because of how the show was
Yeah.
using that. Even when they have their tender sex scene, Shane's still like putting his fingers in Ilya's
Yeah.
mouth, which
Yes.
I was like, all right, we're still gonna like, yes, because oftentimes, right, like love stories, it's like, look, they don't need to be filthy anymore, and it's like, no, I still want to be filthy when I'm having sex with someone, even if I'm in love with them, like,
Yeah. Even though
Especially
that
if you're
wasn't
in
like,
love.
even that scene is like not like they're not like fucking, you know.
Right.
They're like, it's tender and beautiful,
like,
but
sweet,
you
yeah.
they're still them.
you're still nasty, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them is still inside the other one.
yeah,
Right.
I also
But-
loved the I feel like Shane learned a lesson when he said, you know, you speak in Russian, that's how we'll do this. That like Shane is able to be, like you mentioned, a little bit more like emotionally toppy, where like before they were going to have sex on the couch, he was like, I have an idea. What if for these 2 weeks we're able to just like say whatever
Yeah.
we want honestly? And like that is like that's emotional topping. Like he like got in there and he was like, this is what I want of this experience. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just put it out there for him. And I think that like the idea that we would see Shane do that at the beginning of the series, granted it's 9 years later, so we all grow up in like there were many presidential administrations and Olympics between those times, but I thought it was like really good for him to set the tone at the beginning of the cottage thing, where we're just going to be honest with each other and like there will be no consequences from that.
And that's when we get the
unless my dad walks in.
Right. When Ilya says like how his mom would have loved him like he loves him, and that's when he says say it again in Russian, and like hit me right in the dead mom feels. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, the mom stuff really got me.
Yeah. And so then Shane's dad sees them, and I was like, oop.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming the second that he was like, I told him I was away at a silent retreat. Yeah. And I was like, they live 10 minutes down the road. We already learned
I didn't realize that.
Yes, because
they're in the lake. Yeah. And they're like, your phone is ringing off the hook. What does that mean?
And I was like whenever
the last time the phone was ringing off the hook, Ilya's dad died. So like this time, what's going to happen when the phone is ringing off the hook and you don't pick it up? It's a good. The lesson here is turn your phone off when you're with Ilya or Shane, basically.
Or look at who's calling.
Right.
Because I thought that was his parents' cottage. That's what I thought it was, like their vacation home, and like they were at the real house, but this was like a vacation home. But that's like his house, I guess, right?
He had it built.
It's his cottage,
Mr. Real Estate.
Because I knew that, but I thought it was like he had it built because he's the rich one because he's the hockey player, and like it was like built for the family.
In that, when Ilya is watching him do yoga and stuff is when they say like, and I had it built. My parents' cottage is 10 minutes down the road. I grew up here, and you know
the Shane Hollander episode of Cribs.
Yeah,
it was very boring. Ian couldn't watch it.
Yes.
And I love how good Ilya is with Shane in all of this. Shane is freaking the fuck out. And like, I am someone who is always freaking the fuck out. And it's important to have someone who can like, I try to do this with friends where it's like, that person's freaking out. I'm a normal freaker outer. That will not be helpful here. Let me put on my like more like face and just like let them freak out and I can comfort. And I think that's really important in any relationship, especially a romantic one, to know when to be able to be like, I'm not like, Ilya, I feel like 2 episodes ago would have been cracking jokes, but he did not. He was like, do you want me to come with you? Yes. Okay, great. And just is like tenderly petting him. And I kind of liked how Ilya didn't seem scared, didn't really care, but was still like good with the parents. Like he was just like, yeah, we're boyfriends.
Lovers.
Yeah. I did like when Shane's, I don't want to hear that word again.
He's like, ooh, Ilya, no, that's gross.
Because I do hate that word. Every time I hear that word, I think of the Liz Lemon quote from 30 Rock, where she's like, ugh, I never like hearing that word unless it's like with meat, like meat over pizza. Yeah, meat and pizza. Yeah, I loved all of this. I liked, again, the way the parents reacted wasn't all yay, but they weren't super homophobic. It was just kind of like they were a little shell-shocked. And then they admit they did maybe kind of know.
Right. I think they were mostly shocked about Ilya.
Yeah.
They knew. Yeah. I think I clocked that they knew when they were talking about like the Swedish princess or whatever. And then like when he gets up and leaves and the dad is like, a Swedish princess, and she's like, I don't know. And I was like, this was them trying to like open that door. And so I knew that they already knew that he was queer.
Which, because I was like, are they going to react back? And then I was really appreciated we got the scene with the mom outside. I thought that was really important for this to show, because I think a lot about when I came out. My dad's wildly conservative. He was like, okay. And my mom had too many questions. My mom, she had a question to her. She loved asking questions. She was like, well, how do you know? Have you been with a man? And I was like, do not ask me that. Like, she had all these like personal questions. And it wasn't because she was like being homophobic. She just liked asking questions, and it was very off-putting. And, you know, eventually it was fine. And she, you know, was my like biggest advocate with gay shit. She like very much was like, let teens come out, like blah, blah. Like, I took her to see Love, Simon with me, and we both cried. She held my hand during the coming out scene, and driving home.
She thought it was racist.
Driving home, she was like, they should show this movie in schools. Like, she wanted them to like be like kids' curriculum so they could learn being gay was okay. So she was like super supportive, but like we had this like weird whatever where she had too many questions. So I appreciated that we got the parents weren't super, they were just a little shocked. And then the mom, when she cries and is like, I hate that I made you think. Ugh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Even this was really well done.
Got the Sarah Nelson treatment. But
But
also I
that
love
No, go ahead. Your turn, Ashley.
we continued to go at the same time. I would say I love that the dad didn't go home and be like, oh my God.
Right. Yes.
This just happened. He went home and just was like, I'm going to sit here and process. Because she's so confused, when she's like, what do you mean? What happened?
Yeah.
What did happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is very bad.
Yeah. I also like that she's his manager, right? And has been managing him since he was very young. And I like that she was true to herself, where after she was able to emotionally process a little bit, she seemed I would say she's a Virgo, if I had to guess. She did her thing, where they talked outside a little bit. I thought it was heartbreaking when Shane said he really tried, because it felt, that's sad too. I would also clock him as a Taurus. We can assign all their signs later. But anyway, she came back in and she was like, well, here's the plan. We can start, let's start thinking about what this is. Are there merchandise? Are there opportunities here? Right?
Yeah, she was like...
and
that's foreshadowing for the next book, though.
Wait, really?
When she asked if you ever let him win, with the metros and everything. So I don't want to talk about that.
It is foreshadowing.
So yeah, then we get our little happy ending. They get in their car, and we get the credits.
We all sob.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was abrupt, but I did weep.
My stomach dropped when the episode ended. I was like, no,
it
just started.
It? Yeah,
I literally was like, 45 more minutes. There's 40.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I was like,
especially because I had looked at my clock and I was like, okay, I have at least 30, 40 more minutes left. And then the next thing I knew, it was over. And I was like, no.
Yep. More sunshine, which is nice, a little bit of an obvious metaphor, but still that. I like that they sort of got to be themselves in the car a little bit. That was nice. I do it. It was my only criticism of the entire series, I think, is that it was just a little bit abrupt. I wish we had something in between them leaving and them getting in the car. It just felt
I could have used a few more episodes.
And part of it, not even episodes, a scene or something, because it felt that just also might be my emotional well-being, which is I need more of this. But I wish that there was something a little bit more smooth in that transition. But that said, I think that seeing that finale with all of us having the knowledge that there will be a season 2, and if we're honest with Canadian TV, there will be a season 3 through 6 as well. I think just knowing that is the case and seeing that, I could be all right, we can, I can let these folks go for a little bit. It's going to be hard, but we're going to have to do that. If we hadn't gotten a renewal by this point, I might have jumped out a window today.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes,
I thought about that as I was watching them drive
Jumping
off.
out the
I
window?
was like, no, well, just how thank God I know that we're getting more, because if this is how it had ended with nothing, that's where my train of thought stopped. It's I don't want to think about it.
It was a little bit quieter of a finale, right? I feel like the previous episode we had
deserved
all the drama. Yes, and I this is a wildly different show, and Zach's gonna want to roll his eyes, but Peacemaker, which also stars a bisexual character, had a really big penultimate episode, and then the finale was a lot quieter. It was moving pieces, wrapping up storyline, showing the characters where they are after that big thing that happened. And a lot of people hated it. And I don't know. As long as we get the resolution, I don't mind if the end is a little bit quieter.
Yeah, I think it was great, especially for this show, because it was such an emotional roller coaster. Every week was exhausting. We were crying, we were happy, we were sad. It was exhausting. So to end on a quiet, happy, peaceful note. Because they also, when they made the show, they didn't know if it was going to be renewed.
Right.
That's the thing. I wonder what they knew watching. You know what I mean? It felt to me like they knew that there was a future of the show by doing this. I don't
at
know.
least a
Maybe I'm
hope,
just like
at least a
off
hope
base
for
here.
the
Yeah, a
future.
hope for it. Yeah.
And I'm grateful it ended the way it did because I feel at peace, I feel calm, but I'm also, in my cage, gnawing at the bars, ready for more.
I cannot
Same.
wait to finish the books so that I can move on to fan fiction.
I have to follow both of you right after this so we can like start talking about
Yes,
this because I'm
please.
planning on reading the whole series.
Yes.
As my husband actually I don't want to say like non-reader. I'm a mega reader. I read like way too much. My mom's a librarian. It's just like my culture. He'll read like a nonfiction book every once in a while, but like after episode 3, like you, Ashley, he was like, "All right, I'm locking in. I'm starting the series. Here we go."
And that's me too. I don't read books. I'm on AO3 a lot, but I don't read books
Yeah.
often. And so the fact that
Some of us do both, Ashley.
I know, but that's not me. So the fact that I was like, oh, I have to, and it's like there's like 6 books in the series, and I was like,
Yeah.
I need
They go
every
fast,
single
but
one of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we're at the end, this went a little longer than I anticipated. Sorry, everybody.
No
I knew we would
worries.
have a lot to say. Favorite part? I'll go first, just because whatever. My genuinely, my favorite part of the whole thing was the end of episode 5, from like Wolf Parade's needle drop to I'm coming to the cottage. Wept so hard, and it was nice to watch a gay thing where I'm happy crying constantly and
Yes.
not sad crying because someone has AIDS and is dying or breaking up or having to stay in the closet forever. Like, this was a different kind of cry for a queer series, which is so nice. Ashley, what was one of
Even
your favorite parts?
first, even compared to like Heartstopper, the way that like season 1 it was happy tears, but all of the tears from 2 and 3 were traumatic tears.
Yeah.
And that is a show that is told through a rose tinted lens.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so I don't know how I'm supposed to pick. When you text me this is what we were doing, I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to pick one favorite part? So I said, I'm just going to call it the last 5 minutes of episode 5 and all of episode 6.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
My answer is that I'm not choosing.
All right, Zach.
I think each episode got better, and like we sort of plateaued at
Yeah.
5 into 6. Like if like the rewatch value on this is going to be like we're going to be going like triple platinum in the Wilcha Watson household. I assure you, that's going to be happening. I think my favorite part of it though might have been and this sort of goes against what Joe said before, where he was in such like a bad frame of mind between 4 and 5. The anticipation between 4 and 5, knowing that there was going to be a resolution, and then seeing it and feeling like I can run through a wall afterwards is probably like might have been what rescued 2025 for me. And I wish I were kidding when I said that. Like, it's been such a bleak year to have a show come out of the woodwork and surprise us and give us a queer happy ever after for like multiple couples was just like more than I could have hoped for. Did it make the rest of the year worth it? Probably not. It was horrible. But for this to happen and for us to like think about this going forward and to like have a bunch of people like engaged in queer media that want to talk to us
Yes.
about it. Like my sister and brother-in-law last night at Christmas, like are just finding out about this. And my brother-in-law was like, I watched It's a Sin a couple of years ago. Is it the same? I'm like, no, because it's happy. So like watch this one where no one's going to die. Spoiler. So like
And I want to read, Zach, your post that did really well when I like memed it on Slayerfest. You posted on Blue Sky, crazy how about this show. Crazy how it went from fun gay sex show to better than I expected from romance to wait, this show rules for a gay thing to one of the best shows of the year to a favorite episode of all time to the most glorious ending to an episode that I've been literally waiting for my whole life. I thought that was a really a good job of summing up how I felt about the show.
I stand by that.
Joe, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part, I think, I mean, the whole show was incredible. Everything Zach said was 100% on point for me. Like, ending the year is such a terrible year for queer people and for America and for human rights, etc. on such a high note, even if it is just a TV show. It really brought so much joy to me and I think a lot of us in our community. So that was really beautiful. And I think also, and if we want to talk about specific scenes, I think my favorite scenes, I don't know, any moment where they were just looking at each other so lovingly and so like honestly were so beautiful to me. Like Ilya's a speech in Russian over the phone when he's in Moscow,
Yes.
so beautiful. I also think the first time Ilya's tells Shane he loves him in this latest episode was also probably a peak for me. Like he
Yeah.
woke him up out of the middle of the night because he was up thinking about how do we make this life together, and like that Shane feeling like or Ilya waking up to Shane doing everything to make sure he keep him in his life when Ilya feels like he has no one else doing that for him.
Yeah.
And he feeling like he lost and everything, and Shane's going out of his way. Like to me, it was just so beautiful and so deep and heart wrenching. And like the show is the type of show that has so many layers. If you go into it deeply, and you could rewatch it over and over again and like realize new things, new nuances to why these characters are doing the things they're doing, why they feel these ways, and it's so beautiful and it's just incredible. And I want to rewatch it right now. I want to rewatch the whole.
I know,
series
I
right
do
now.
too. I'm like, I'm probably gonna just put it on for the rest
Me
of the
too.
night. Hottest scene. I will go first to give everyone time. Hands down, when Ilya says he wants to watch, I thought that was so fucking hot. Like, I'm like, I need to like fan myself just thinking about it. Like the confidence Ilya projects, and with like the drink in his hand and the like sitting back and like, no, you're gonna put on a show for me, is so fucking hot. And the idea, this show is making me insane. The idea of a man like already being so fucking hot for me that like that is hot for them makes it like a million times hotter. It's not like I'm like, ooh, I want to put on a show for you. The person is like, no, I want to watch you because I think you're so fucking hot. Like that is, whew, really works for me. Before I slide off this chair, Joe, what do you think of the scenes?
I think for me, the hottest scene for me was genuinely the first time they hooked up. I think like their reactions and like Shane being so probably a virgin and like unsure of everything, but it coming off so real. And then like the whole thing where Ilya was like, okay, thank you, I leave now, and he didn't. And like he came in and absolutely like got Shane off in like seconds. I don't know why it was so real to me. That was like such a real experience that I was like, oh, this is so fucking hot. Like I've never felt so real. Like it was just so real. I feel like I was watching real sex.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Zach?
Ian, you probably mentioned mine, so I'm going to mention just like a lightning round of other things that I found really hot. I loved the scene where like they're in Ilya's house and Shane is riding him on the couch, basically, and you see like real body stretch marks.
Yeah.
And like,
Which I think is so hot.
Yes.
yeah, even though like the two of them are like obviously like fit
Right.
as hell, right? They
Mhm.
both seemed like, if not accessible bodies, but real ones that were like doing things with each other. And I found that like really incredibly hot, just like atmospherically. I thought that was so cool.
No, I agree.
I
Um,
paused it on that scene. I said, "Oh, he has stretch marks," and
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
was like, "Okay, wait a minute. Let me get my shit together, and then we'll start back."
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zach, you
Let me
said that
take
in
a
our
couple
group-
screenshots and then we'll restart it.
Right, just-
Zach, you said that in our group chat, I think, about how like they like did not have like Marvel bodies and it made them hotter, even though they have these bodies that are clearly ridiculous.
right. There's that old article that's like everyone's hot and no one's horny. This was like an antidote to that. Like
Yes.
it was really cool to see it. And then one other edit that I loved is this show like fucking killed it with montages, which you have to do to cover 9 years.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I think it was episode 4, when they have them skating and Ilya
Yes.
smashes
Mhm.
Shane up against the boards, and then it
Yes.
switches to him smashing him against a mattress.
Yes.
I'm like, why has no one ever done this before? Like I've been
Genius.
waiting for this my entire
What's
life.
that
So
meme? Is it Martin Scorsese where his hands are up and it just says cinema? That's like how I
Cinema.
felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it did, yeah. But like it also shows that you can have a show that's fun, that's well made, it's horny as hell, like all of these things at once. Like we're just so thoughtful to put together. And I don't think the girls are doing it like this just about
Right.
anywhere else. And I hope that the challenge is that like you can in the future.
And Zach, I think I said this to you specifically, but I mean this complimentary. This reminded me of the gay shows that I watched in like 2000, where I'd like find them late at night on HBO, and it's just like
Yes.
a
Yeah.
gay movie that has gay sex in it, but like is shot pretty well, but like had an indie budget and no famous
Yeah.
actors in it. Any of you here ever see Speedway Junkie?
No.
I was obsessed
No.
with that movie. I think it's Jesse Metcalf. Is like the straight guy that like him and this gay guy are maybe falling in love. Like movies like that, or like Dick with, is that the one with Tori Spelling? No. Yeah, right? She in
Your
that
trick
one?
is what you're
Trick,
thinking.
Trick, yes.
Well.
Like movies like that that I would watch and consume that
Yeah.
like did not get any attention, that us gay people had to watch randomly
Yeah,
or rent from
when they were
Blockbuster.
for us, so you'd go to TLA and
Yes,
you'd go to like the
yes.
gay section and you'd make sure nobody's looking over your shoulder and you'd get them and take them home to your apartment with your law school roommate. And maybe I'm getting too specific here, so go on.
But yeah, that's what it reminded me of. But like in the best way possible. Like if any of those
Yeah.
had a bigger budget and like
Indie
were
spirit.
able to do more. There's like there was a trend of gay movies for a while where they would have gay sex and be like the worst movies, where it'd be like mostly just about the sex, which is fine. But like this did both, which I really loved. And Zach, you mentioning that that would work also in like something campy, but it did not feel campy here, even though it was
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like it
And
worked,
Ian,
right?
like you're just reminding me of something like to your point about like what gay movies used to be like. I think that they made like a sly allusion to that in episode one in the hookup that Joe was talking about when they hooked up for the first time, where all if you're my age or even like a little bit younger, like a lot of your gay media has been like leading up to the hookup and then fade to black or like panning over to a
Yeah.
window or whatever. In their first hookup, they fade to black and you're like, all right, moving on to the next scene. And then it fades back in and it's just like on an ass, right? And then it fades out again and like someone's spitting in a mouth. So like they kept like doing these fade outs, making you think that it was going to be over, but no, like they just kept going and kept going, which is like setting the tone of like kind of the thesis for the series.
The speaking of those fade outs, the biggest culprit of that is the movie Party Monster, which is so explicitly queer and gay. Every character in it is queer. It is based on Michael Alec, who killed that man and is all about that. I had read that book. I was so excited for that movie. I had Macaulay Culkin. I had Seth Green. Seth Green was such a big crush of mine. There is not a single gay kiss in that movie. When Macaulay Culkin, and I think it's Wilmer Valderrama, there are so many famous people in that movie. That's why it doesn't. When they're like about to kiss and maybe sitting in a dumpster and fireworks are going off, it fades out before their lips even touch, and that is the only gay kiss in the whole fucking movie. And that made me so mad because then I think it's Chloe Sevigny and Macaulay Culkin's character have a lot of sex. And like that feels very indicative of what this would have been made mainstream if it had been made a few years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, what grade do we give? We're all going to give it the same. Do we all give it an A?
Wait,
I
did Ashley
do
didn't
my
say her hot
hardest.
thing?
Oh, Zach,
Yeah.
Ashley, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's right. Sorry.
For me, it was the couch scene. Because I am
The
so
blowjob
tied.
scene?
No, the like fraudage scene.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm so tied to the emotion with them and the like
Their heads.
domesticity of this, and you could just like tell that they were both so fully emotionally invested in that moment. And we get the name slip. It's like while it was also like it ends devastating, it to me was like one of the hottest scenes.
What was the ADR in that? Why did you notice that? Like when he says Shane, it is very clearly not said in the scene. It's like
I didn't
oh, yeah,
notice,
blah,
but
blah.
maybe I
Shane.
will on my like 15-3 rewatch.
Yeah, I noticed it right away, and I like rewound it. I was like, "What the fuck was that?" And then I
Also,
saw
shout out to all of the consent stuff, which was so hot.
All right, do we all give it the same grade? An A?
Yeah.
If there's
A+.
something
Yeah.
above an A+, I would give it that.
Yeah.
But
10 out of
Yeah.
10.
You really brought a bunch of ringers in for this. Can I like bring up like one other reason why I would give it an A beyond just like the show itself? Like
Yeah.
this show to me is like the ultimate 2025 show in that it like absolutely like the success was dependent on the algorithm, but everything that it's about is like a repudiation of the algorithm.
Yeah.
Let me explain. Like you had this amazing press tour with the most like charismatic new actors. I really hope that they stay the same. I'm a little bit nervous for what season 2 is going to be like in terms of like fan service, and if like we wear these two incredible actors out. I hope that the best for both of them because I think they're really brilliant and gifted, and I want them to have all the opportunities in the world. They're also like my Shane and Ilya, but like it just has come up everywhere. Like their press tour has been so good. They're naturally charming. I get up every morning and I look at my little newspaper, which is just like whatever they're giving me, like whatever interview has happened that day for them. But the show itself being about like post-pandemic connection that you need with another person desperately and will do anything you can to get it is like everything that all of us are trying to do to like get away from the algorithm at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think that like it's a really powerful show for this moment in that way, where it probably would not have succeeded without the social media that like it so brilliantly fed into. And Ian, like in our group chat, like months ago, I sent you a picture of these two. I'm like, this is who they cast in this. I'm seated. The theater attendants are scared, but I am seated nonetheless. Like, so like we all knew that it was kind of coming if you're like anywhere in the queer media landscape. But at the same time, like it makes me want to like explore connection more deeply with people in a way that's not online. So that's sort of like my beyond the show, like where it's hitting me in the feelings.
Too much information, but yes, I was talking about this with my trainer this morning because I was like, I'm always big on like, I mean, it's not like I'm opposed to having sex or a boyfriend, but I just am very like about it. Like I don't fucking care. I'm like, I need to be independently wealthy first and have my podcast do better and, you know, have a better career before I even think of like wanting to date someone. And this actually did make me feel like I do want to get laid maybe. Like, maybe the fact that I haven't touched another human since my mother was alive is a problem. Maybe I should fix that. Like it did make me feel that way and nothing ever makes me feel that way. Like, so like, yeah, I do, you know, I agree with you with that. All right. We've been talking for a long time, but this merited it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining me. This was a really fun conversation. I feel like the four of us could talk about it for 100 hours. Yeah. Quick, let's do in-depth analysis of every episode real quick for the rest of the day.
I'm literally going to the gay sports bar in Nashville tonight to watch the finale with a group of people.
Oh my God, that's gonna be amazing.
I'm like, I woke up this morning, I rewatched the episode 3 times, I got on a podcast and talked about it, and now I'm gonna go watch it again with a bunch of strangers.
I can't cry that much in public.
I know.
I am nervous about that. I was like, we need a corner booth.
Yeah.
Wear a veil. Like, I'd be like fully covered.
You're just like, oh, we're at the end. Put the veil down.
That's what the hair's for. I'll just...
Exactly, yeah. Thank you all for listening. If you want to support Slayerfest, you can find us at SlayerFestX98 on all social media platforms. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch our video recording because all of our episodes are video recordings on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe and give us a good rating. It really helps get the podcast out there. If you want to support us on Patreon, we have a Patreon where we're covering every episode of Buffy as it turns 25, X-Men the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, and any other random shit I decide I want to talk about over there. And Joe Organa and I will be covering every episode of Heated Rivalry, episode by episode, for the month of January, which I'm really excited about. We will have matching shirts. I got props for this shit. And if you want to follow me, I am at Ian Carlos. Ashley, where can everyone find you and your podcast that will also be covering Heated Rivalry?
Yes. So if you want to follow me, I am on pretty much just Instagram at 'cause I'm feeling fine. And then I do a Heartstopper podcast where we do full deep dive, like in-depth analysis discussions on each episode. And that's out for the entire series right now. And then, in January, we will be covering Heated Rivalry. We will be doing the in-depth analysis for each episode. So if you want to get in on that, you can find us on all social media platforms at Why Are We Cast, and you can listen to our episodes. It's called Why Are We Like This, by the way. I don't think I even said the name. But you can listen to us anywhere, any platform. So.
And Joe, where can everyone find you?
I'm at Joe Organa on all social media, especially Twitch. I'm live Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on Blue Sky and TikTok and YouTube. Other than that, you can find me in your dreams tonight. I will be there, I promise. Close your eyes.
And Zach, where can everyone find you?
You can find me everywhere at It's Only Zach with an H at the end of it. I'm about to follow everybody here. I don't have a podcast, but I'm happy to come on and talk about whatever people want me to at any time. So if you need me to tap in on Heated Rivalry ever again, let me know. Happy to
Zach,
do so.
I feel like the moment I said I liked the show, you were like, if you cover it on your podcast, I want to come on.
I need more men because I put out a call and it was all women, and I was like, I'm cutting off females now. I have enough females to talk about this. I need more men to join.
Well, great.
I'm happy to do it.
Thank you all, and we will see you next time. I think our next episode will be the recap of the year, so we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.